the world, okay, we're going? The
Yep.
world's going through some really dire circumstances that we are blessed karmically to not be sharing with much of the rest of the world. And that's like the level of illness of COVID. If we were in South America, COVID would mean something completely different than what we think of it now here. If we were thinking about India, okay, it's really, really, really out of control. I had one of my friends, Brother Bott, asked me a question about a month ago. And I was so taken back with everything that was going on, I never really responded. I kept thinking I'm going to do it, but then we canceled the meeting, and then we had a holiday again, we canceled another meeting. So I can't let this go on any further, so I got to start from there, okay? And he's asking me about death. Okay, and the reason he's asking me about death is because so many people around him are dying. And he knows, several people. I mean, if you know anybody in India, they all know people that have COVID. There's nobody you can talk to in India that doesn't know multiple people that have COVID, and they also know many people that have died. Okay, no different than in America, way before everybody started getting a shot. Okay, they had the highest death rate of 4,000 a day or something like that. India's been in that range now themselves. So the point is, COVID's already proven that where it's been stifled, it can come flaring back, okay? So the thing that I would say, and we're on now, right?
Yep.
The thing that I got to say to Brother Bott is in talking about death, you know, if you go to the Go Show, almost all of the Go Show's talking to you as a believer, all right, about death, which really doesn't cover maybe your family or people that aren't believers. Do you understand? So, since there's really nothing that I can find that's specific to me talking about this, I've got to give you what my wisdom tells you. I'll read all of the things everybody knows about the quotable Nichiren, right? Yeah. What this is good for, this will always put you to a Go Show. Now, the cool thing about it is it never tells you what the Go Show is. It just gives you a page. Okay? So if you go back and you'll read the whole Go Show instead of just verifying that this passage is there on that page, you will constantly be reading things that are deeper meanings than we might gather conversationally, or President Cato may take it upon himself for an individual lecture. The way you deepen your wisdom, deepen your faith, is to read as much as you can and to keep pondering it and keep pondering it and keep chanting about it and continuing and never stopping doing that. Okay? The Go Show we're going to read later, I've read so many times I can't even begin to count them. But I'll start with this. First of all, why are we born? Let me ask a bunch of questions and Why are we born? We're thinking about death now, okay? We're bummed out about death, but why are we born? Because we already died. Okay? So there's nothing wrong with death. All things die. Okay? So whether you're friends, parents, loved ones, enemies, you know, doesn't matter who they are. They will all die. Okay? And so will you. Okay? So to understand birth and death is the whole goal of this Buddhism. So that we don't put so much stake in this existence that we pass on all the things we might do in this existence that advance our eternal karma. Okay? Rather than going for the short term, we're going for the long term. That's the whole point of the perseverance required to be the Buddha, right? Because you're going to have difficulties that aren't just going to disappear because you're the Buddha. You're the Buddha, you have to prove that the way to overcome is to never give up. To show doubt-free faith. Yep. Mugi Washin, baby, right? Yeah. So when we talk about death and rebirth then, why were we were reborn? Because we already died. But why were we reborn where we were reborn exactly at the time we were reborn, in association with all the things around us, the environment, the people, the everything?
Your karma.
Yeah, but what's that really then reflecting? It's your karma. but it's the karma of everything else around you too, right? Everything else around you has karma. Does it have your karma? No. It has its own karma. Okay? So when things have a commonality of karma that bring them together in a manifest state, this is called dependent origination. Okay? And what you got to understand is that when I say dependent origination, a lot of times, just like if I said slander, most people could think insulting people's appearance or denigrating their intelligence or something like that. That's slander, really. That's the kind of slander. Yeah, it's a slander in English. It's not nice to say those kinds of things. Yes, there's probably a repercussion for being rude. But a slander of the law is the whole deal here. It's not whether I say bad words while I talk. Okay? And so, when we talk about dependent origination, we have to understand that this moment, the dependent origination is always about this moment. Why? Because the only thing that exists is this moment. Okay? And this moment extends from here to where? Infinity. Okay? So, everything in both non-substantiality, everything with the potentiality to manifest, is it gone? Does it not exist? No, it's not non-existence, remember? It's the middle way. Okay, so it's not temporary existence. It's not non-existence. It's the middle way. So my point is that this dependent origination has to be conceived of from a perspective of out of an infinite variety of different circumstances and scenarios. We're born into this one. I'm born into the circumstance of looking at these faces, these eyes, trying to encourage all of you. Okay? You encourage me in that same process. Okay? So the point is that the link between you and your parents can only be broken by you. The link between you and anything you care about can only be broken by you. Have you ever considered why at the ceremony, in the emerging from the earth chapter, when the bodhisattvas of the earth emerge, is it just bodhisattvas of the earth that emerge? Who else emerges?
All the Buddhas from
No. They didn't emerge from the earth. They had come and sat on lotus petals or something, lions, whatever, chairs. No. Who came with the bodhisattvas of the earth?
Followers.
They're followers. They're followers. Okay? So anybody that you have had the karmic reality, because you both shared that reality, okay? They didn't know you because of your karma. You knew them because of your karma. They knew you because of their karma. Okay? That's dependent origination. And so subsequently, all of this boils down to the reality that you can never escape the people that are around you. I mean, it's not going to be a one-of type of situation. If you chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo about them at their death or at any time, that daimoku reaches them. Okay? And that daimoku also forms a connection between you and the entity, the eternal entity that is behind that temporary gathering of the five components. Because every person, every living entity that you meet, okay, is going to transmigrate out and become something kind of different as it relates to the formula that they created in this lifetime that's going to be expressed in the next. Right? Like I said, right now you're expressing your past. You're not expressing necessarily your present. Okay, your present will be expressed in the future. So, that was what I was trying to explain about death. Let me read to you all the things from the Gosho that, Soka Gakkai has pulled together as it relates to death. But the one thing that I want to emphasize is, again, my belief is that you take this issue of being called the Buddha seriously. Okay? And you take it as serious as to perceive yourself as the Buddha. How can you ask for Buddha-like power of benefit to change the impossible into the possible without believing that you have that power, that you are that manifest reality. Okay? And that's the whole basis of the teaching, is to try and get through your head. That's really the real deal. So for my BSG friends, know that you're in all of our prayers constantly. Please all stay healthy. Please don't get COVID. We know there's not enough vaccine over there. And please take these WND page numbers to heart when you're trying to look for encouragement in the current situation that involves so much death surrounding you. Starts on page 37, death. Okay? From the Go Show on page 216, I believe this is a major. It says, for one who summons up one's faith and chants Nam Myoho Renge Kyo with the profound insight that now is the last moment of one's life, the sutra proclaims, when the lives of these persons come to an end, they will be received into the hands of 1,000 Buddhas who will free them from all fear and keep them from falling into the evil paths of existence. The second one from WND page 1027. WND 1, I'm sure all of these are. Okay? The companions with whom we enjoyed composing poems praising the moon on autumn evenings vanished with the moon behind the shifting clouds. Only their mute images remain in our hearts. Though the moon is set behind the western mountains, we will compose poetry under it again next autumn. But where are our companions who have passed away? Even when the approaching tiger of death roars, we do not hear and are not startled. How many more days are left to the sheep bound for slaughter? From page 28, WD page 218, the same Go Show as the first one, obviously. Be resolved to summon forth the great power of faith and chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo with the prayer that your faith will be steadfast and correct at the moment of death. Never seek any other way to inherit the ultimate. This is obviously from the ultimate law of life and death. The heritage of the ultimate law of life and death. That's what both of those quotes are from. Be resolved to summon forth the great power of faith and chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo with the power that your faith will be steadfast and correct at the moment of death, meaning that you would be in Buddhahood. Never seek any other way to inherit the ultimate law of life and death and manifest it in your life other than chanting Daimoku. Only then will you realize that earthly desires are enlightenment and that the sufferings of birth and death are nirvana. Even embracing the Lotus Sutra would be useless without the heritage of faith. Everybody understands what that one's all about, right? Okay, so how many of you actually, in front of the Gohonzon, chant that because you're not as old as I am. I know you probably don't chant about death as much as I do now. I know I chant more about it now than I did earlier in my life. Okay, so I'm constantly constantly praying that I be steadfast and correct. Okay, at the moment of my death. It's by having the wisdom to perceive this truth and in advance of the last moment of life, start preparing for the last moment of life. Okay, so that you're not asking to be forgiven for all your sins at the last moment. You realize you're going to engage and encounter everything, and it's okay. It's your life condition. Okay, it's what it is. Be resolved to summon forth the great power of faith and chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo with the prayer that your faith will be steadfast and correct at the moment of death. Never seek any other way to inherit the ultimate law of life and death and manifest it in your life. Only then will you realize that earthly desires are enlightenment and the sufferings of birth and death are nirvana. Even embracing the Lotus Sutra would be useless without the heritage of faith. Without faith, okay, when you do things that dilute your faith, you have to be careful. Okay, and then from page 106, though you may move among the most exalted company of noble courts, your hair done up elegantly, think about yourself, your hair done up elegantly like clouds and your sleeves fluttering like eddies of snow, such pleasure, when you stop to consider them, are no more than a dream within a dream. You must come to rest at last under the carpet of weeds at the foot of the hill. And all of your jeweled daisies and brocade hangings will mean nothing to you on the road to the afterlife. The spring blossoms depart with the wind, maple leaves turn red in autumn showers. All are proof that no living thing can stay for long in this world. Therefore, the Lotus Sutra counsels us, nothing in this world is lasting or firm, but all are like bubbles, foam, heat shimmer. From page 6, WND, page 63. From page 191. Those who have become disciples and lay supporters of such a Nichiren, especially your deceased mother, Myoho, the anniversary of whose death falls on the 12th day of this month, are votaries of the Lotus Sutra and my lay supporters. How could she possibly have fallen into the world of hungry spirits? No doubt she is now in the presence of Shakyamuni Buddha, many treasures Buddha, and the Buddhas of the 10 directions. From page 1003, in the end, no one can escape death. The sufferings at that time will be exactly like what we are experiencing now. Exactly. Since death is the same in either case, you should be willing to offer your life for the Lotus Sutra. Think of this as offering a drop of dew, rejoining the ocean, or a speck of dust returning to the earth. As I have been saying for some time, in your situation as a lay believer, you should just single-mindedly chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo morning and evening, day and night, and observe what happens at the last moments of your life. Okay? At that time, hasten to the summit of perfect enlightenment. Look around you in all directions. The entire realm of phenomena will have changed into the land of tranquil light. Buddhas and bodhisattvas, all beings being caressed by breezes of eternity, happiness, true self, and purity. We too will surely be among their numbers. From page 843. From page 1030 again. No matter what, always keep your faith in the Lotus Sutra steadfast. Then at the last moment of your life, you will be welcomed by 1,000 Buddhas who will take you swiftly to the pure land of Eagle Peak, where you will experience the boundless joy of the law. And then lastly, from page 451 to 452, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo will be your staff to take you safely over the mountains of death. The Buddhas, Shakyamuni and many treasures, as well as the 4 bodhisattvas headed by superior practices, will lead you by the hand on your journey. If I, Nichiren, precede you in death, I will come to meet you at your last moment. If you should precede me, I will be sure to tell King Yama all about you. Everything that I tell you is true. According to the Lotus Sutra, Nichiren is the guide who knows the passes and gorges along the way. Okay, so as you can see, all of those quotes had to do with quoting to a believer, which makes it very difficult for anything that I just read to have any real meaning to people that you're trying to encourage about having lost someone in the secular world, all right? But if you think about it, it's also a perfect segue, because in that moment, you're able to actually, first of all, have the wisdom to perceive their pain, and the wisdom to understand that pain in a way that allows you to express something that helps relieve it. That should be your major goal, is not to tell them something they don't know. Mm-hmm. Tell them something that will get them through this difficult time so that they can continue. Okay? Because everybody that keeps going gets to continue. Everybody that stops, stops. Okay? So the segue is this. As you're trying to encourage the non-believer who's lost someone in life, that's why I keep wanting to tell you about this Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Okay? Because this Nam Myoho Renge Kyo explains that death is not an end. That it isn't going on to some other place that's a place of permanence, like we already found out Earth isn't. Okay? It actually involves eternity in a way that explains it perfectly and logically. Please let me try to help you understand that. And then tell them about Nam Myoho Renge Kyo and the Gohonzon again. Whether they absorb it or not, you just open them to the name and the words of the truth. In actuality, that's why they know you. On an even deeper level, that's why they know you, having lost whoever they lost, that made them need that encouragement that you then gave them in the form of encouraging them in faith and exposing them to opening the name and the words of the truth. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you utilize everything in life, even death, for the sake of not only yourself, but for the happiness of also of others, you can't lose. You can't lose. Everybody's going to Eagle Peak. All right? Okay, so rather than go into any of that other stuff, I think I already talked about dependent origination, didn't I? Yeah. All right, I'm not going to go into the dictionary definition. The Gosho today is the one right after what? Where is it here? There we go. What precedes the true aspect of all phenomena? The object of devotion for observing the mind. Okay, so he's already written. He's on Sado Island. Mm-hmm. He's already written about his true identity in the opening of the eyes, and your true identity in the opening of the eyes. There is no difference between your true identity and his true identity. Okay, understand that. All right. Now he's gotten to the object of devotion for observing the mind. Why was that so important? What's the object of devotion's importance? Sustaining and maintaining the life of the eternal Buddha after the Daishonin's passing. Okay? In other words, without having to have Nichiren Daishonin there, we have all his teachings and we have a way to communicate with this element of ourself that is eternal. The Nam-myoho Renge-kyo that exists within us, the Gohonzon that exists in us, the Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, thus come one, that is our life, when we are bodhisattvas of the earth. See, that's why this was important to read. Because this will now, we already know from the last Gosho, okay, that we can attain Buddhahood in our present form. But we've also understood from reading that that's based on the assumption that we're functioning as bodhisattvas of the earth, right? We're able to attain Buddhahood in our present form because we manifest as bodhisattvas of the earth. This lecture is going to tell you, going to explain what being a bodhisattva of the earth really is. Because the wording here, again, when we talk about the Daishonin's teachings, it's just like talking to Toki Jonin 2 years after he'd ever brought forth Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, to now having gone through all the trials and tribulations. He's already gone through one exile to Izu Peninsula, right? He's on his second go-round. Okay, now he's on Sado Island. He's not on a peninsula. There's a land bridge too. He's not expecting to leave. Understand that. Why do all of his very deep Goshos come from Sado Island? It's because he's leaving for posterity the true teaching. And that's why he now explains in the true meaning of the Gohonzon and what the Gohonzon actually is in the object of devotion prior to this Gosho, prior to this. He's already started giving out Gohonzons since he came to Sado Island, right? Since Tatsunokuchi's, when he started creating them. Now he's got to make sure that there's a document that qualifies exactly what it actually is, okay? And now he's going to recap in the true aspect of all phenomena, the essential aspect of being able to pull all this off. To be able to become the Buddha in your present form, you have to perceive and express the true aspect in your life. When you read this, it's going to say stuff like, all you got to do is chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. It's not, no. No, because I know a lot of people that chanted Nam-myoho Renge-kyo and went Taitan. What about them when they hadn't gone Taitan yet? Were they bodhisattvas of the earth? No, because bodhisattvas of the earth never go Taitan under any circumstance, in any lifetime. Okay? Yeah. So it's not as simple as chanting Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, because I got people that have chanted Nam-myoho Renge-kyo dripping off my clothes. Really, I've talked to that many people and gotten them to say Nam-myoho Renge-kyo and done that much Shakabuku and had people that chanted for the period of time that they could. They didn't have the mentors that I had, and I hadn't matured enough to be able to actually share in the right spirit what I might have been able to then to keep them going. And I'll have to live with that for eternity. I'm sure I will meet them, and I'm sure I will meet with the causality that brought us together in the first place. So, I'm going to read the background here, and then I'm going to read the Gosho, and then we'll probably be done for the day by the time, because we've already been about 30 minutes in, right? Okay? And then next week, I'll do my best to start slugging through this. This will probably take 2 weeks in total to get through. All right? And originally I thought, oh, this would be perfect. I can do all this in one weekend. No, I don't think I really can. So, okay, so let's go to page Pardon me. Yeah, it's the end, the background, behind the background. The background on page 387. Okay, so we're going to read the Go Show from, you can get it online at NichirenLibrary.com. It's it's on page 383. The background starts on 387. Let me read it. Background. Nichiren Daishonin wrote this letter to Sairenbo Nichijo while at Ichinosara on Sado Island on the 5th month of the 10th year of Brunei. For some reason, Sairenbo was also in exile on Sado, where he had been converted to by the Daishonin. So he's a direct shakubuku of Nichiren. By the Daishonin in the 2nd month of 1272. A former Tendai priest, he already knew something about the true aspect of all phenomena. It was a fundamental concept in the Tendai school of Buddhism. Okay, so does everybody understand that? Once again, and one of the reasons why the tantric path would maybe not be the way to because everything has to do with this path of Nagarjuna onto who Swasu, whatever, who Nanye's teacher was, to that whole lineage of then Nanye, then Tiantai, then Chang'an, then goes on to Dengyo, on to Myolo, and then Dengyo. Because he's going to quote from the beginning, he's going to quote Myolo. But Myolo's getting everything he's saying from Tiantai. But he's really getting it from Chang'an, because Tiantai didn't write the text. Okay? Okay, so it's a little complicated, but it just goes to show you, and again, there's no separation in this mentor-disciple thing. There's no high-low. It's only equal. Karmic relationship. Okay? And we all follow around each other to be the entourage for the purpose of establishing correct clarity. Okay? So, a former Tendai priest, he already knew something about the true aspect of all phenomena. It was a fundamental concept in the Tendai school of Buddhism. It didn't start with Nichiren. He could not, however, satisfactorily come to grips with this concept through Tentai's theory alone. Don't forget, Tentai only could do as much as theoretical Ichinen Sanzen, clarified by Nichiren as such. So he asked the Daishonin for an explanation. Explain the true aspect of all phenomena. What does that really mean? The true aspect of all phenomena is the Daishonin's reply. Okay, so this is a serious, heavy question from a priest, okay, who's qualified to understand the deep stuff, so the Daishonin is going to take it off and whip it on and leave it down straight. And that's why we have to read it deeply to understand what's actually being said, because he's actually going over Sairenbo's head as well. Because he can't proclaim himself to be the eternal Buddha to Sairenbo. Sairenbo, okay, now we're going a little too far. All right? So, he says, though comparatively short, this document elucidates two important elements of the Daishonin's Buddhism. It was completed a month after Nichiren Daishonin wrote The Object of Devotion for Observing the Mind, in which he explained the Gohonzon, the object of devotion that can lead all people in the latter day to enlightenment. True aspect of all phenomena begins with a passage from the Expedient Means chapter, the heart of the theoretical teaching of the Lotus Sutra, that implies that no phenomena is in any way different from the true aspect or Myoho Rengekyo. Everybody understands that's from the Expedient Means chapter of Lotus Sutra, right? Okay, because Myoho Rengekyo, though, now what are we talking about? Could that be actually in the sutra itself? No, because Myoho Rengekyo is a mixture of Chinese and whatever, right? Okay, and Sanskrit. So he's talking about since Tentai started digging into it, since this lineage of clarity that's going to be quoted later, all right? So it says, it also implies that all the innumerable forms and realities that exist, both concrete and abstract, are manifestations of Myoho Rengekyo. So you talk about the entire universe, the entire phenomenal realm, and the realm of non-substantiality consists in the phenomenal realm. Do you understand? All right, it's part of the three realms, right? Okay, so the Daishonin explains the essence of the Lotus Sutra, Myoho Rengekyo, and its embodiment, the Gohonzon. So he's basically saying that the Gohonzon is the embodiment of the Lotus Sutra. This is the first element, the object of devotion in terms of the law. Okay, he's going to talk about the Gohonzon in that. And after clarifying the ultimate teaching of the Lotus Sutra, which is the hidden truth of the Gohonzon, the Daishonin states that Bodhisattva superior practices, the leader of the Bodhisattvas of the earth, will propagate that teaching that he himself is carrying out the mission entrusted to that Bodhisattva. In light of his own behavior and in fulfillment of the predictions in the Lotus Sutra, Nichiren Daishonin suggests that he himself is Bodhisattva's superior practices. But he doesn't say I am, right? He leaves it to your faith to perceive that truth. A more profound interpretation, however, because superior practices only pops up in chapter 16 as an original disciple of Shakyamuni from numberless major world system dust particle kalpas ago. And when we talk about the original state, we're talking about something that goes beyond that. We're talking about Kuan-Ganjo, right? So he says, a more profound interpretation, one that involves infinity, okay, beginningless time, however, identifies him as the Buddha of the latter day of the law, the 10,000 years of the latter day rather than 1,000 years of the former day or 1,000 years of the middle day, right? Whose purpose was to establish the Gohonzon for the enlightenment of all people in the latter day. So the Gohonzon is not an extension of Shakyamuni in any way. It's specifically Nichiren Daishonin, and it's the reason Nichiren Daishonin made his advent all those years later. So he wouldn't have to make up all of the teaching that, I mean, what? Without the baseline that Tiantai and Chang'an and Myolo and Dingyo have already laid down, he wouldn't have been able to explain this and have it make any doctrinal sense. There would have been no basis of continuity with the previous teachings. Do you understand? Thus, the true aspect of all phenomena also explains the object of devotion in terms of the person. Because he's going to say, this is discussing a really important thing about me. But I'm not going to say what that is out loud. But I will tell you, it's discussing something important about me. This is the second element. Referring to both the person and the law, the Daishonin clarifies the fundamental object of devotion for the people of the latter day. He brings together the points he expounded in the opening of the eyes, completed in 1272, which focuses on the second element, and in the object of devotion for absorbing the mind, which focuses on the first element. So this is going to pull both of those the top two major treatises together. Okay? The latter half of this letter explains to Sai Renbo that those who devote themselves to propagating the correct teaching in the same spirit as the Daishonin are themselves bodhisattvas of the earth. And there's the qualifier. You have to be of the same mind as Nichiren to be a bodhisattva of the earth, which means you're not really practicing to get benefits. You're practicing to establish Kosen Rufu. And you're practicing to fulfill your original vow. And you perceive your life to be that basis. And you perceive everything that you experience to be a reflection of your karma. And if you're also a Nam Myoho Renge Kyo thus come one, you not only created that voluntarily, you created it for a purpose. And the reason you created that was what? To expound the law as the Buddha to the people that are going to bring forth their own Buddhahood as a result. That's what all of this is all about. It's all passing it on. Okay? The Daishonin predicts that Nam Myoho Renge Kyo will spread widely in the future because we all come out, and concludes by setting forth the key elements of Buddhist practice in the latter day of the law. What we all do, namely faith, practice, and study. So now, going back to the true aspect of all phenomena written by Nichiren on page 383. Question. The Expedient Means chapter in the first volume of the Lotus Sutra states, the true aspect of all phenomena can only be understood and shared between Buddhas. This reality consists of the appearance, nature, ... and their consistency from beginning to end. What does this passage mean? Okay, so what was that? It was the recitation of the 10 factors, right? We do in Gongyo. It says, answer. Listen to this answer. It means that all beings and environments in the 10 worlds, which means all beings and environments in the entire universe, okay, no matter what they are or no matter how they're constructed, From hell, the lowest, to Buddhahood, the highest, are without exception manifestations of Myoho Renge-kyo. They're entities of the mystic law. There's no separation between them and the mystic law. They are the same thing. The essential element of them is the mystic law. If there is an environment, living beings are bound to dwell there. So as modern science tells us there must be zillions of other worlds like our world, Nichiren, 800 years ago, is saying, expect to meet somebody there, expect to find something alive there. It's not Earth is the only place that's got the edge on this thing called life. All right? He says, if there is an environment, so just don't think about Earth, think about all environments, living beings are bound to dwell there. And what are living beings? Who are living beings? People? No.
Sentient.
And insentient. Plants are bodhisattvas of the earth. I just told you that last week, right? Okay, so I mean, he says again, right? Whatever's dwelling there is any life, anything that's life. So it could be a whole planet of plants. They're still living beings. You get it? All right. The plants don't have the element of mind, so that's why they're only in the 100 and the 1,000 factors, the 100 worlds and the 1,000 factors, and we talk about each in the sunset. There's a difference between.
What?
Yes.
But because maybe we don't know.
Well, according to Nietzsche, I don't know if maybe Nietzsche didn't know, then maybe he didn't know, but he clarifies it as that's the difference between us and plants. 100
Because
plants
plants
dwell.
are feelings.
Yeah. Well, but they don't express. They aren't able
They are
to
not
express.
thinking about themselves as a.
Well, and again, every other living thing has a reaction to the environment, right? Okay, so at any rate, I'll clarify that later if you want me to. Because a commentary states, because if there is an environment, living beings are bound to dwell there. A commentary states, okay, he's going to give 3 statements here. They're all from Myoho. Living beings in their environments always manifest Myoho Renge-kyo. Another says, the true aspect invariably manifests in all phenomena, and all phenomena invariably manifest in the 10 factors. The 10 factors invariably manifest in the 10 worlds, and the 10 worlds invariably manifest in life and its environment. Everybody understood that one? Okay, I'll go back. And then the third statement is, and both the beings and environment for the Avicii hell exist entirely within the life of the highest stage Buddha. And what is more, the life and the environment of Vairocana Buddha never transcend the lives of common mortals. These explanations are precise and clear. Who could have doubts? Thus, the entire realm of phenomena is no different than the 5 characters of Myoho Renge-kyo. Okay, so this might sound like a lot of self-serving embellishment, since he's the one that's brought Nam-myoho Renge-kyo forth. And when he talks about Myoho Renge-kyo, he's talking about Nam-myoho Renge-kyo synonymously. So let's go back again. When he quotes, he says, a commentary states, he's talking, and this is all Myoho. Now, why does he not say? Myoho says, because Myoho's actually viewed historically as a student of Tiantai. Okay, and this wasn't specifically stated by Tiantai as was recorded by Chang'an. This was the continuation of this element of wisdom that manifests all the way through Dengyo to prepare the way for the latter day, for the 5th 500-year period when the truth is coming out. All right? So he says, the true aspect invariably manifests in all phenomena. So what would that be? And all phenomena invariably manifest in the 10 factors. The true aspect, Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, invariably manifests in everything. All right? And everything invariably manifests in the 10 factors, because that's what makes up life, whatever life. Do you understand? 10 factors is included in the 100 worlds and the 1,000 factors, right? So now plants is in there. Okay? Right. The 10 factors invariably manifest in the 10 worlds, because through the process of evolution, right, plants turn into organic things, continue. The 10 factors invariably manifest in the 10 worlds, and the 10 worlds invariably manifest in life and its environment. Okay? So, life and its environment. Why is it life and its environment?
Because there is no life if no
No,
environment.
with a no environment, there's no
Oh,
life.
there's no,
With no environment, there's no
there's
life.
no environment.
Okay? Because this isn't God made all this shit for us to hang out in. We're part of the whole process that made it. Okay? And both the beings and the environment of the Avicii hell exist entirely within the life of the highest sage, Buddha.
Mhm.
I'm a Buddha, and I guarantee you they exist in me.
Mm.
Okay? Were they not capable of being in the highest realm of the highest state, then I couldn't be a Buddha. Do you understand? And the entire teaching that I am a Buddha would be completely theoretical. All right? So again, and both the beings and the environment of the Avicii hell exist entirely within the life of the highest sage Buddha. And what is more, the life and environment of Vairashana, which is another, he's using this again, he's talking to Sairenbo. So when he says Vairashana, he's talking about the eternal Buddha that's talked about in the flower garland and the Mahavajrana Sutras. Okay? Never transcend the lives of common mortals. So the eternal Buddha, as you understand it, Sairenbo, never transcends the lives of common mortals. The lives of common mortals are equal to the... Okay. These explanations are precise and clear that Aishonin says. He says, hey, Myelo said all this pretty straight up. I mean, I don't have to argue with you about it. I mean, Myelo is already known as a great sage, and you may consider me a templeless priest who's in exile, but this is very clear. Who could have doubts? Thus, he says, as a result of this truth, the entire realm of phenomena is no different from the 5 characters of Myoho Renge-kyo. He says 5 or 7. It's no different. The entire realm of phenomena is no different than Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, the eternal law of the simultaneity of cause and effect. All right? Even the two, it goes on the top of page 383. Are you with me, bro? I'm boring you. Okay, I know you're tired and I know you're not feeling well. I just want to make sure that you're with me. Even the 2 Buddhas, Shakyamuni and many treasures, in performing the function of the benefit of the 5 characters of Myoho Renge-kyo, manifested themselves as the 2 Buddhas and seated together in the treasure tower, nodded in mutual agreement. So what is he saying in that paragraph? Even Shakyamuni and many treasures made their appearance solely for the sake of what I'm doing now here on Sado Island, revealing the truth in the 5th 500-year period. All I'm doing is making good on all the claims of the Lotus Sutra. Frankly, with my life. If it weren't for me living what I'm living, the sutra would contain falsehoods. But perceived from the perception of understanding the true meaning of the sutra, I'm living it. And so will all of you who are my disciples. So be ready. Don't be thinking you're going to be on the benefit trail and it's no... Yeah, okay? Okay, so he says, let me read that, and then the first thing, okay, I love this. I got to read them together. Even the 2 Buddhas, Shakyamuni, and many treasures, in performing the function of the benefit of the 5 characters of Myoho Renge-kyo, manifested themselves as the 2 Buddhas and seated together in the treasure tower, nodded in mutual agreement. No one but Nichiren has ever revealed teachings like these. Okay, so Nichiren's qualifying. There may have been a Nanye for Tentai. There may have been, a teacher for whoever. He says, no one's ever revealed what I've revealed in Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. That has never existed until I've revealed it, because this is the secret teaching hidden in the depths. Okay? Though Tentai, Myolo, and Dingyo knew about them in their hearts, they never put them into words. They went about their lives keeping this knowledge to themselves. And there was good reason for this. The Buddha had not entrusted them with the task. Wasn't up to them. The time had not yet come. We weren't in the 5th 500-year period. We weren't in the latter day of the law yet. And they had not been the Buddha's disciples from the distant past. They were not bodhisattvas of the earth. None of them. Ooh, okay. Only superior practices, boundless practices, and the other foremost leaders and guiding teachers among the bodhisattvas of the earth can not only appear during the first 500 years of the latter day of the law and spread the 5 characters of Myoho Renge-kyo, Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, the essence of all phenomena, but they're also the only ones that can give concrete form to the ceremony of the 2 Buddhas seated side by side in the treasure tower. The reason is that they are to spread and to give concrete form to is none other than the teaching of the actual 3,000 realms in a single moment of life in the lifespan chapter of the essential teaching. Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, which not even Tentai, not even Dingyo, not even Myolo, not even anybody, no one other than has ever revealed teachings like these other than Nichiren, Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. Therefore, he says, okay, since everything is really the same, he says, therefore, the 2 Buddhas, Shakyamuni and many treasures, are Buddhas who are functions of Myoho Renge-kyo. They're not here now. Myoho Renge-kyo is here now. Nam-myoho Renge-kyo is here now. Therefore, the 2 Buddhas, Shakyamuni and many treasures, are Buddhas who are functions of Myoho Renge-kyo. They're not eternal entities, never changing, always perpetuating, having the same identity. It is Myoho Renge-kyo that is the true Buddha. Okay, this is what is described in the sutra as the thus come one's secret in his transcendental powers. The only secret and the only transcendental power is life itself and the truth of what that is. That is only revealed in the teaching hidden in the depths of the lifespan chapter. The thus come one's secret refers to the entity, and again I'm on page 384 in the first column. The thus come one's secret refers to the entity of the Buddha's 3 bodies. What would that be then? That would be your original state. That would be the entity of your life, your original aspect, right? Right. The thus come one's secret refers to the entity of the Buddha's 3 bodies, and it refers to the true Buddha. Because you are a true Buddha because you're a manifest living being and you chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. You don't go through expedient means to expound the truth, right? His transcendental powers, going back to the Gosho, refers to the functions of the 3 bodies. The things I manifest as being alive in this realm, like this, as Tom, temporarily. Okay? And it refers to provisional Buddhas. A common mortal is an entity of the 3 bodies and a true Buddha. A Buddha is a function of the 3 bodies and a provisional Buddha. In that case, though, it is thought that Shakyamuni Buddha possesses the 3 virtues of sovereign teacher and parent for the sake of all of us living beings. That is not so. Talk about a potential slander there. That is not so. Shakyamuni is not, no. On the contrary, it is common mortals who endow him with the 3 virtues. Now, at the end of this, he's going to say, I've left you with my deepest teaching, keep it secret. All right? So he's trying to answer Josai Renbo truthfully at a level of depth that's in keeping with the truth, but not one that's so far over Sai Renbo's head that Sai Renbo's got nothing else to think about and it's simple and easy. No. You got to get it first. He says, so what he's saying here is a common mortal is an entity of the 3 bodies. We're the true Buddhas. He goes, the provisional Buddhas that we read about in the teachings, like Mahevrochana, like Vairocana, like Amida, like all these other spooky dudes, okay, from the Lotus, from all those old sutras that are over 2 millennia old now. We're in the 5th 500-year period. Those guys aren't real Buddhas. You're the real Buddha. That's what he's saying there, okay? And he's saying your faith and treating them as objects of devotion is what gives them any powers they may have. It's really just a reflection of your faith. That's what he's saying. All right? He says, on the contrary, it is common mortals who endow him with the 3 virtues. All right? Continuing on 384, first column. The thus come one is explained clearly in Tentai's commentary, now that we're to the original source here again, as follows. The thus come one is a general designation for the Buddhas of the 10 directions and the 3 existences. For the 2 Buddhas, the 3 Buddhas, the true Buddha, the provisional Buddhas. The true Buddha here means common mortals, whereas provisional Buddhas means Buddhas. However, because of the difference between ordinary people and Buddhas that stems from the disparity between delusion and enlightenment, ordinary people are unaware that they are endowed with both the entity and functions of the 3 bodies. Did you all understand? They're all endowed with everything that they're worshiping as something outside of themselves. It actually exists inside themselves. All right? He says, all phenomena, continuing, in the sutra, and if you wanted to go to the footnote 4, it would say, or footnote 6, the 2 Buddhas refer to a Buddha in his true original status. The Dharma body, and a Buddha in the form in which he appears in response to people's desires in order to save the manifest body. That's like many treasures in Shakyamuni. The 3 Buddhas indicate the 3 bodies of a Buddha: the Dharma body, the reward body, and the manifested body, which includes bodhisattvahood, right? And being a common mortal. And the words and phrases of the lotus, and then that's that. Okay, so going back. All phenomena, last paragraph of 384, all phenomena in the sutra refers to the 10 worlds, and the true aspect to what they actually are. The true aspect is another name for Myoho Rengekyo. Hence, all phenomena are Myoho Rengekyo. Hell's displaying the form of hell is its true aspect. When hell changes into the realm of hungry spirits, that is no longer the true form of hell. Do you understand what he's saying? He says things change moment to moment to moment. But moment to moment to moment, the one thing that doesn't change is the Nam-myoho Renge-kyo aspect of everything. All right? He says, and a Buddha displays the form of a Buddha, and a common mortal that of a common mortal. The entities of all phenomena, the original aspect, the original state, the basis of life itself, the life itself of everything that lives, okay? The entities of all phenomena are entities of Myoho Renge-kyo, the mystic law. That is the meaning of the true aspect of all phenomena. They are all Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. Tentai states that the profound principle of the true aspect is the originally inherent Myoho Renge-kyo, the originally inherent Buddhahood, the originally inherent Gohonzon, the originally inherent Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, the originally inherent thus come one, the originally inherent original state. All right? This interpretation identifies the phrase true aspect with the theoretical teaching and the originally inherent Myoho Renge-kyo with the essential teaching. Do you understand? Because before that, you're just describing it. Now you're talking about it as an actual manifest reality. You're talking about it as a potentiality. When you talk about it from Tentai's perspective, you're talking about it as a manifest reality when you talk about it from the perspective of the Daishonin. And then he finishes here. He says, again, let me say, this interpretation identifies the phrase true aspect with the theoretical teaching, while Tentai was trying to explain what couldn't be explained, and the originally inherent Myoho Renge-kyo, what I brought forth, the chanting of Nam-myoho Renge-kyo along with faith in the Gohonzon with the correct object of devotion, he's saying, is with the essential teaching. The essential teaching is the original teaching, the teaching that provides, the teaching that's good for the 10,000 years of the latter day and beyond. And then he says, you should ponder this interpretation deep in your heart. Okay? Now, I have pondered the shit out of this, personally. Okay? Because he told me to. All right? If you've just read this Gosho and you think you read this Gosho because you read the words without going to the Gohonzon and chanting Daimoku, and what the fuck does that mean? What is that really saying? Okay? That's what he means when he's saying you should ponder this interpretation deep in your heart. You know, when we have these conversations, I'll only be around for however much longer I'm around. All of you are much younger than me, generally. Okay? I hope all of you continue this process of pondering. Never think you got it down, man. Because only by having the universe kick my ass to show me I don't have it all down, did I even consider maybe I don't have it all down, and continue striving more deeply to get it down. And I thought I was all that and a bag of chips. But now I'm a true Buddha. There's a huge difference. And it did not come without an extended effort over the course of many years of faith. I have faith from day one. Okay? I hadn't gone through what I had to go through in order to manifest wisdom, though. All right? So he says, although not worthy of the honor, I, Nichiren, was nevertheless the first to spread the mystic law and trusted Bodhisattva's superior practices for the propagation of the law and the latter day of law. So he says again, just like we could say, he's saying this to each one of us. No matter what you think of yourself or what anybody else thinks of you, you're a freaking Buddha. Okay? Get over it. All right? That's what he's saying here. Although not worthy of the honor, nevertheless, I brought forth Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. So no matter what you think of me, I already know what to think of me. And to not question my true identity. All right? He says, I, Nichiren, was nevertheless the first to spread the mystic law and trusted Bodhisattva's superior practices for the propagation in the latter day of the law. I was also the first, though only Bodhisattva's superior practices is so empowered, to inscribe the object of devotion, the embodiment of Shakyamuni Buddha from the remote past, as revealed in the lifespan chapter of the Essential Teaching, of many treasures Buddha who appeared when the Treasure Tower chapter of the theoretical teaching was preached, and of the Bodhisattvas of the earth who arrived with the emerging from the earth chapter. Though people may hate me, they cannot possibly alter the fact of my enlightenment. So if you're basing your enlightenment on what he based his enlightenment on, you can make the same statement and have the same conviction that you are. Okay? No different from Nietzsche and Daishonin. He says on 384, last paragraph, second column, therefore, to have exiled me, Nichiren, to this remote island is, I believe, an offense that can never be expiated, even with the passing of countless kalpas. A passage from the Simile and Parable chapter reads, if I were to describe the punishments that fall on persons who slander the sutra, I could exhaust a kalpa and never come to the end. On the other hand, not even the wisdom of the Buddha can fathom the blessings that one will obtain by giving alms to Nichiren and by becoming his disciple and lay supporter. He's kind of saying that's the very highest of high. The sutra reads, the benefits he gains thereby will be such that even the Buddha wisdom could never finish calculating their extent. And that's why we don't look at anything else for an answer. Okay? Because the minute we do that, we deviate from this spirit of believing the truth of the Lotus Sutra. Okay? That's why we don't look back into the wisdom sutras or any of that. And that's why Nichiren, if you just read all the Gosho, he'll tell you all the good spots that you probably do need to know because they're a foundational predication. Okay? But, okay, he says, on the other hand, pardon me, if I were to describe, thereby, I forgot where I was. A passage from the Simile and Parable chapter reads, if I were to describe the punishments that fall on persons who slander this sutra, I could exhaust a kalpa and never come to an end. On the other hand, not even the wisdom of the Buddha can fathom the blessings that one will obtain by giving alms to Nichiren and by becoming his disciple and lay supporter. The sutra reads, the benefits he gains thereby will be such that even the Buddha wisdom could never finish calculating their extent. Nichiren alone took the lead in carrying out the task of the Bodhisattvas of the earth. He may even be one of them. If Nichiren is to be counted among the Bodhisattvas of the earth, then so must his disciples and lay supporters. The sutra states, if one of these good men or good women in the time after I passed into extinction is able to secretly expound the Lotus Sutra to one person, even one phrase of it, then you should know that he or she is an envoy of the Thus Come One. He has been dispatched by the Thus Come One and carries out the Thus Come One's work. Who else but us can this possibly refer to? He continues in the middle of page 385, first column. When praised highly by others, one feels there is no hardship one cannot bear. Such is the courage that springs from words of praise. The votaries born in the latter day of the law who propagate the Lotus Sutra will encounter the three types of enemies who will cause them to be exiled and even condemn them to death. Yet Shakyamuni Buddha will enfold in his robe those who nonetheless persevere in propagating. So no matter what kind of shit's going down, Keep your faith and you'll be covered. Heavenly gods will make them offerings, support them with their shoulders, carrying them on their backs. They possess great good roots of goodness and deserve to be great leaders for all living beings. Thus, extolled by Shakyamuni, many treasures, Buddha, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions, the 7 reigns of the heavenly deities, and the 5 reigns of the earthly deities, the mother of demon children, and the 10 demon daughters, the 4 heavenly kings, Brahma, Shakra, King Yama, the gods of the waters and winds, the gods of the seas and mountains, the thus come one, Mahavira, the Bodhisattva universal, worthy and majesty, the gods of the sun and the moon, thus praised by all these honorable ones, I, Nichiren, because of everything I do, everybody that's anybody is beneath me. Okay, they praise what I'm doing because they couldn't hang. I, Nichiren, have been able to endure countless harsh trials because all of their praise, because again, I am fulfilling the function that I'm supposed to based on the previous teachings. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. He says, I, Nichiren, have been able to endure countless harsh trials. When praised, one does not consider one's personal risk. And when criticized, one can recklessly cause one's own ruin. Such is the way of common mortals. Now, no matter what, strive in faith and be known as a votary of the Lotus Sutra, and remain my disciple for the rest of your life. Remain my disciple for the rest of your life. If you are of the same mind as Nichiren, and that means of the same, understanding who I am, okay, you must be a bodhisattva of the earth. And if you are a bodhisattva of the earth, there is not the slightest doubt that you have been a disciple of Shakyamuni Buddha from the remote past, because that's on the surface text that he's answering Sai Rinpo's answer. From the remote past. President Cato will get into it here. The sutra states, ever since the long distance past, I have been teaching and converting this multitude. There should be no discrimination among those who propagate the 5 characters of Myoho Renge-kyo in the latter day of the law. Be they men or women. Were they not bodhisattvas of the earth, they could not chant the Daimoku. Which is, again, you could segue and think, all I got to do is chant that and I'm automatically a bodhisattva of the earth. That's not what that is saying. Let me say it again. There should be no discrimination among those who propagate the 5 characters of Myoho Renge-kyo in the latter day of the law. Be they men or women. Were they not bodhisattvas of the earth, they could not chant the Daimoku. At first, only Nichiren chanted Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, but then 2, 3, 100 followed, chanting and teaching others. Propagation will unfold this way in the future as well. Does this not signify emerging from the earth? At the time when the law has spread far and wide, the entire nation of Japan, the entire Japanese nation will chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo as surely as an arrow aimed at the earth cannot miss the target. Now, you must build your reputation on the Lotus Sutra and give yourself up to it. And give yourself up to it. Accept the teaching for what it says and be what it says you will be, if you'll do that. At the ceremony in the air, when the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions gathered together, the 2 Buddhas, Shakyamuni and many treasures, nodded in agreement in the treasure tower. What they decided on was nothing other than the perpetuation of the law throughout the latter day. Many treasures had offered Shakyamuni Buddha a place beside him, and when they unfurled the banner of Myoho Renge-kyo, the 2 leaders of the entire multitude made their decision together. Could there have been anything false in their decision? Their ultimate purpose in meeting was to provide a way for all of us living beings to attain Buddhahood. Although I was not at that ceremony, Nichiren writes to Sai Rinpo, although I was not at that ceremony, on looking at the sutra, this is crystal clear. Pardon me. Although I was not at that ceremony on looking at the sutra, this is crystal clear. On the other hand, I may have been at the ceremony, but since I am a common mortal, it is beyond my power to know the past, just as it is ours, because we were there too. Understand, if Nichiren was there, we were there as well. The Bodhisattvas of the earth all had made their advent. All right? There is no doubt, however, that in my present life I am the votary of the Lotus Sutra. There is no doubt, however, that in my present life I am the votary of the Lotus Sutra, and that in the future I will therefore reach the seat of enlightenment without fail. Judging the past from this point of view, I must have been judging from this judging the past from this point of view, which he's also saying to you, if you're listening to what I'm saying about the inseparability between me and my disciples, and you buy into what I'm saying, and you believe it, then you understand you had to have been at the ceremony in the air as well. He says, judging the past from this point of view, I must have been at the ceremony in the air. There can be no discontinuity between the three existences of past, present, and future. If I was there, you were there. Because I view things this way, I feel immeasurable delight even though I am now in exile. Joy, as well as sorrow, moves us to tears. Tears express our feelings for both blessings and misfortune. The 1,000 arhats shed tears in memory of the Buddha, and in tears Bodhisattva Manjushri chanted Myoho Renge-kyo. From among those 1,000 arhats, the Venerable Ananda replied in tears, "This is what I heard." The tears of all the others fell, wetting their inkstones, and they wrote Myoho Renge-kyo, followed by, "This is what I heard." I, Nichiren, now feel exactly as they did. I am now in exile because I spread the 5 and 7 characters of Myoho Renge-kyo. I spread this teaching because this is what I heard. Shakyamuni, Buddha, and many treasures Buddha, left Myoho Renge-kyo for the future and for all living beings in the country of Japan. I cannot hold back my tears when I think of the great persecution confronting me now, or when I think of the joy of attaining Buddhahood in the future. Birds and crickets cry, but never shed tears. I, Nichiren, do not cry, but my tears flow ceaselessly. I shed my tears not for worldly affairs, but solely for the sake of the Lotus Sutra. So indeed they must be tears of Amrita. The Nirvana Sutra states that while the tears one has shed in past existences at the death of one's parents and brothers, sisters, wives, children, and other relatives surpass the quantity of water in the 4 great seas, one weeps not a drop for the Buddha's teachings. One becomes a votary of the Lotus Sutra by virtue of one's practice in past existences. It is karmic relationships that determine which among the trees are made into images of the Buddha. It is also because of karma that some become statues of Buddhas of the provisional teachings. I need a tissue, pardon me. It is also because of karma that some become statues of the Buddhas of the provisional teachings, objects of devotion that bring slander. In this letter, I have written my most important teachings. In this letter, I have written my most important teachings. Grasp their meaning firmly, which means you can't speed read it. You can't read through it once to grasp their meaning firmly. Trust me. No, I don't think so. I won't accept that you could. And make them a part of your life. That will actually take some time. Believe in the Gohonzon, the supreme object of devotion, and all of Jampadvipa. Be sure to strengthen your faith and receive the protection of Shakyamuni, many treasures, and the Buddhas of the 10 directions, the protection of the Gohonzon. Exert yourself in the 2 ways of practice and study. Without practice and study, there can be no Buddhism. You must not only persevere yourself, you must also teach others. Both practice and study arise from faith. Faith comes first. Practice and study come from faith. Teaching others to the best of your ability, teach others to the best of your ability, even if it is only a single sentence or phrase. Nam Myoho Renge-kyo, Nam Myoho Renge-kyo, with my deep respect, Nichiren, the 17th day of the 5th month. Postscript. I wrote before about the doctrines, I wrote before about the doctrines that have been handed down to me. Those I have revealed to you in this particular letter are very important. Okay, so what is he saying there by saying that to Sairenbo? What I've said here, I've never said this straightforwardly before. Okay, and so this is really important for you to maintain for posterity, because you're the source. I'm entrusting it to you, Sairenbo. Okay, this isn't just for you. Okay, this is my most important teachings. He says, those I have revealed to you in this particular letter are very important. Is there not a mystic bond between us? If you're the one that I'm talking to, then dude, there's really no separation between us. Get that. Understand that. Don't look up to me. I'm not looking down at you. He says, are you not the embodiment of one of the 4 bodhisattvas, including superior practices, who led the bodhisattvas of the earth in number to the sands of the 60,000 Ganges rivers. He's saying, if I'm superior practices, so are you. And President Cato is going to explain that's the spirit. We're all superior practices. I'll do Kosen Rufu. Who led the bodhisattvas of the earth equal in number to the sands of 60,000 Ganges river. There must be some profound reason for our relationship. Dependent origination. I have given you the teaching that concern myself. I have given you the teachings that concern myself. So now go back and stick my presence into each one of these points I've made and understand it a little more deeply and correctly. Nichiren may be one of the followers of the bodhisattvas of the earth who are equal in number to the sands of the 60,000 Ganges rivers. For I have been chanting Nam-myoho Renge-kyo out of my desire to guide all men and women in Japan. Because he's got nothing to validate that what's in the Lotus Sutra is talking about himself personally, other than his own conviction. And the conviction of his followers who believe in his teaching. Okay? That's why faith. Without faith, you're getting nowhere. You're not going to get the past to understand this stuff, and you won't be on the path to understand this stuff. You only become confused and disillusioned because your prayers will stop being answered. The more crooked you become, the more powerless your prayer is. He says, the sutra says among these bodhisattvas there were 4 leaders. The first was called superior practices. These 4 bodhisattvas were the foremost leaders and guiding teachers. A bond of karma from the past has led you to become my disciple. By all means, keep this letter to yourself. Okay? I have herein committed to writing the doctrines of my own enlightenment. I will end here. Reply to Sairenbo, page 387, volume 1. And now, next week, because we're going to stop now, we'll go into the lecture by Study Chief Saito. This isn't by President Keita. I think there's a good reason why, for some reason, there's these 4 goshos where President Keita is not the one giving the lecture. Okay, and I'll get into that when we start discussing this. So, next time.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.